Hello everyone, Science Viking here, and I'm ready to actually go through the Crystal Cove and take on Seath. I am still in my chainmail. I've upgraded my Estus Flask to +4, and I haven't kindled this bonfire any further, but since I had to swing by Firelink Shrine to upgrade my Estus Flask, I just rested at that bonfire, and that's why I have 20 Estus uses. And let me check my rings quick a second. Yeah, I don't need the Covetous Silver Serpent. Let's go with... Blue Tearstone's always good. Blue Tearstone's a good favorite. And we can mostly avoid enemies in the Duke's Archives on our way here. However, I believe there's a treasure that I missed before. Yep, back here. Strike the chest to make sure it's not a mimic, but it's not a mimic. And the Crystal Ember, used to ascend weapons as crystal. We actually give that to the giant blacksmith in Orlando. And like with all the others, I'll show you his dialogue when I give it to him. I am planning on collecting all of the embers in this playthrough. I have the majority of them already. But, head out through here. And the Crystal Cove is actually a fairly short area, but it has one particular gimmick that can be a real problem. There are also these crystal golems. You really want to deal with them with a bow or pyromancy, and you want to avoid dealing with them if you can. Of course, as usual for Dark Souls, the hitboxes will sometimes be weird. And in case you're wondering why I'm using my pyromancy so freely in this area, the way that the fight with Seath works, I'm not going to be using pyromancy at all when I fight him. It's just not going to be the right call. And Blue Titanite Chunk. I believe... No, these guys don't have a chance of dropping Blue Titanite Slabs, but this is a good place to farm if you want to upgrade magic or enchanted weapons. So, unsurprisingly, the Duke's Archives and its associated areas are the place to go if you're a sorcerer. It's where Logan gets access to his best spells, and thus where you can buy them from him. It's where, Alright. And he's down. And the enemy that does drop, what are they called? Blue Titanite Slabs does spawn here. It's just not these guys. Though, as usual, it's extremely difficult to get Blue Titanites. Get, any kind of slab. The odds of an enemy dropping it are very small. And if we look here, this is a dead end because we're supposed to turn right. However, one of the gimmicks of this area is invisible paths. And there are two that we are not going to be able to avoid. So, yeah, that's going to be a challenge. Alright, so we turn right and work our way down here. And oh, have my supply of souls and or pyromancies changed? That is actually a really complicated thing. It involves time travel and is definitely not a recording error I'm clumsily attempting to conceal. Definitely not. I'm way better than that and don't have random recording accidents that force me to start over. Alright. Yeah, don't spare the pyromancy. This isn't a very long area, and the crystal golems are pretty much the only thing worth using pyromancy against in this area. I've never really been able to figure out what the relationship is between the crystal golems and the other crystal creatures. Do the crystal hollows turn into golems when they progress far enough, or what? Or are they just all the products of different experiments? The other question is, can Seath actually control these creatures, or does he just make them? And over here we see another Moonlight Butterfly. And once again, this is the enemy that drops Blue Titanite Slabs, and this is the only enemy that drops Blue Titanite Slabs. They drop them very rarely, but you can kill them if you have a bow or some ranged magic to get Blue Titanite. Unlike the boss version, they do not have that thing where they land and then you can attack them. Now this should be an invisible path. And indeed it is. Now, let's be good citizens and make this a little easier on future players by leaving a message. Here works perfectly well, because that message, you see, is visible on top of the platform to reveal that there is, in fact, ground that you can stand on here. And all we get this time is a humanity. But we can climb our way down here as well. Our goal is just to get to the bottom. Seath is at the bottom, and that's really all that we need to worry about. You see here, someone else has helpfully left us a message hovering in midair, confirming that this area is indeed walkable. Now, messages disappear over time, and not every player can see every message, so I'm going to leave one of my own. But I'm going to wait until I'm actually on the other side of this, because, well, 2 points determine a line. And I'm dead. Back in a second. Alright. We're back where we were. Let's try this again. Yeah, the invisible paths are a bit of a thing. I mean, you can see the crystals dropping onto the path in front of you. Still, I really don't like this gimmick. I mean, a lot of things in Dark Souls make me feel a little afraid of heights, but this is the record holder. Fortunately, once we're done with Seath, this won't be a thing we deal with anymore. This is only in this one area. The other thing is, if you don't know that these are here, you can just get lost for a really long time. Ah, that was a bad choice. Deep breath. Praise the sun that I survived that. Take another quick drink. And switch back to my shield. Whoa, almost fell off the platform there. Another way to figure out where the invisible platforms are is that there will always be those little crystal shards raining down on them. Alright, slide down, land on the platform, continue to feel nervous. Not sure how far this platform goes. But that is a dead end. In both directions. Where am I even going? Okay, this invisible path has to be a trap. Yep, imminent fall. Okay, I want to stop seeing the message so that I can switch to my pyromancy. Let's try that again. Back in a second. Alright, let's drop down. I can't. Alright, sprint a little bit. And just pelt him with great chaos fireballs until he hopefully dies. One more. Okay. Alright, there's an invisible path here. Let's mark that. You can also use this to leave messages to yourself. That's not what I meant to do. Same message. Then we slowly work our way forward. And I'm not certain this is the right path. Definitely not anything there. I'll look around a little bit more before I conclude. I don't remember this area as well as I remember a lot of others. No, so this is our only option. Alright. Continue working our way forward. I can't take this. And praise the sun. So this appears to put us back where we were, so I'm confused. Hmm. Guess there really is a path this way. Well, yeah. This area is really confusing. Though, by leaving these messages, I'm kind of leaving a trail of breadcrumbs for myself. Alright, excuse me if I go quiet for a bit. Because, like I said, this is a really confusing layout. Okay, make a right, switch back to the Estus Flask. And we're nearly there. Yep, that was the last one. Of course, now we have to deal with these things. All that. Back in a second. Okay. Yeah, I'm back to where I was. I'm gonna use my bow to take care of those things. And I'm gonna be using my bow to do most of the work when I fight Seath himself as well. Alright. When he's coming after me, I'm gonna retreat a bit. do not like fighting these things. Alright. Though they do drop purging stones. And their heads are full of skulls. Yeah, these enemies are, I believe, the only enemy in the game with a chance of dropping purging stones. Oh, darn it. I didn't want to fight that one. These things aren't that dangerous, though they did one of them did manage to kill me. They're just tedious, is really what it comes down to. I mean, they can do plenty of damage when they connect. But like I said, they're more tedious and frustrating to fight against than anything. I've never bothered with farming these guys for purging stones because, well, they're tedious and frustrating to fight against, and I don't generally need purging stones. Dislike fighting these things. Fortunately, I do not need to conserve my pyromancy, because I'm going to be taking Seath out with arrows. Oh, they dropped Twinkling Titanite. That is quite useful. Of course, you can just buy that from the giant in Anor Londo. Please tell me we're done with these things, at least soon. Of course, as with most other enemies in Dark Souls, the solution is pyromancy. Or at least, my solution is pyromancy. I think that's all of them. Take a quick swig. I want to go into this with full health. Oh. Of course there's one. The other thing about these guys, there's always more. One arrow. And I'm just going to use a humanity, I have plenty of them. And yep, a purging stone. Alright. And this boss does not have a fog wall. We just go through here. And we see that, which looks like a bonfire has been crystallized. And here comes Seath the Scaleless. I'm going to be keeping my distance from him. However, you see he still regenerates health. Because, in order to make him not regenerate health, you have to destroy that thing that we saw in the opening cutscene. So we need to work our way around the battlefield to get to where that thing is. Stay towards the edges. Keep your eyes open. Fortunately, the cutscene gave us a nice clear look at it so we know what it looks like. I think it's down. It is. Seath no longer regenerates health. I think one of his attacks took the thing out. Even. Now, I'm just going to keep my distance and pelt him with arrows. He has that attack, but it appears to have limited range. Pretty much everything Seath can do seems to have limited range, and he moves very slowly. So you can, for the most part, just keep your distance and avoid direct confrontation. Okay, backing up. This is actually somewhat reminiscent of the fight with the Duke's dear Freya from Dark Souls 2. Of course, that fight you can literally beat the boss just by orbiting around it counterclockwise. Seath is at least a little bit more complicated. Though, why does he have tentacles? Will a curse build up? I don't think though. Like, really, why does Seath have tentacles? Also, this boss fight gets especially easy in any kind of co-op, because if you have your opponent, Seath is your opponent. If you have another player who can tank this fight, it doesn't take too much. You can just keep your distance and pelt them with arrows, and the damage racks up pretty quickly, as you're seeing. I'm almost wishing that my boat was Chaos Ascended because of how much humanity I have. Then again, I don't suppose it needs to be. And then it wouldn't benefit from my really high dexterity stat. No matter how tempting it can be to get impatient and just rush in and murder and gank him real quickly, don't do it. Keep your distance, be patient. All of his attacks require him to be close to you and he doesn't move very much. If you're a pure melee character, you want to try to stay behind him. That way you can seriously mess him up. And the majority of his attacks kind of attack from in front of him. In fact, his health is low enough. I'm going to demonstrate how I would fight Seath as a pure melee character. Also, if you inflict enough damage to his tail, you receive a unique weapon, a Moonlight Greatsword. It's a sword all of whose damage is magic. It's actually sort of like the, you know how if you deal a certain amount of damage to a gargoyle's tail, I'd rather not become cursed right now. If you inflict a certain amount of damage to a gargoyle's tail, not even behind him, I'm just too close for that attack, then you receive, and he's down! And I got my covetous Silver Serpent Ring. I receive a bequeathed Lord Soul, a humanity, and I should actually get souls, and 72,000 souls, because of that 20% bonus. If you deal enough damage to the tip of Seath's tail during the fight, you will receive the Moonlight Greatsword. It's sort of like the way it works with the Gargoyle Tail Axe. There are actually several bosses that are this way. All of these weapons are necessary for the achievement for Knight's Honor for having every unique weapon. But I'm not going to be getting that. I obviously didn't get that in this playthrough. I have a character who I'm working on getting Knight's Honor with, but it takes a really long time. Especially since you already need to be in a New Game Plus 2 because of the 3 different things you can create with the Soul of Sif. Let's read that Bequeathed Lord Soul. Soul of Seath the Scaleless. Oh. Bequeathed Lord Soul Shard. Soul of the albino Seath the Scaleless, a fragment of a Lord Soul discovered at the dawn of the Age of Fire. Seath allied with Lord Gwyn and turned upon the dragons, and for this was awarded dukedom, embraced by the royalty and given a fragment of a great soul. Although just a piece, it will still satiate the Lord Vessel. And while we have it, let's read about the Crystal Ember. Crystal Ember. Ember required for weapon ascension. Crystal Ember created by Seath the Scaleless. Handled only by the giant gods blacksmiths. That's an oddly worded. Anyway, ascends plus 10 standard weapon to crystal weapon. Crystal weapon can be reinforced to plus 5. Crystal weapons are powerful but brittle and cannot be repaired once broken. So, that's the end of that. You can light the bonfire. And from the bonfire, we can warp back to Firelink Shrine. That was my only attempt fighting Seath. I didn't die on any previous attempt. All of my deaths were trying to get to him. In fact, I have never died fighting Seath. Because he's honestly not very hard. Seath is, in my opinion, the easiest of the Lord Soul boss fights. The reason why I went after both the Tomb of the Giants and New Londo first is because the area leading up to Seath is, in my opinion, harder than the other two, but Seath himself isn't really that difficult. Anyway, that's the end of that. I'm just gonna level up. I'm not gonna upgrade my Pyromancy Catalyst because of where I'm going next. But I'm going to upgrade my Pyromancy Catalyst. I'm going to do a few bonus things. So the next video will probably just be a brief bonus video showing things like what the giant blacksmith says when you bring him the Crystal Ember. And then the next full video, which will probably come out sometime next week, I am going to head to the Demon Ruins and take on the first of several bosses in that area, the Ceaseless Discharge. So, until then, I love you all, and I'll see you next time.